What happened at your work which caused multiple people to all quit at once? They laid off half the company with no warning. This included a gentleman who was less than a year from retirement and had been there for 35 plus years. The company was shocked when half the remaining people abandoned ship shortly thereafter. At previous and final employer they did a round of layoffs. Now this is Europe, so you need a reason to fire people with a contract, and they said it was for economic reasons. So naturally, like rats on a ship, a massive exodus began. Everyone was looking for a new job. Management didn't expect this, so a month and a half later, they released their Christmas speech, calling for fresh young talent and asking people to stick together like family when they fired 30 people just 6 weeks ago. Come January, the second wave of the exodus was well underway. This one happened mid-January. It got really awkward when they tried calling back the people that they'd laid off to replace the people who had left. The company consistently outpaced competing firms and found itself emerging as one of the industry leading agencies. This was also a California tech firm, so shorts, flip-flops, drinks at lunch, getting high on the roof were all rather common. But we were rapidly growing, and the atmosphere/location made us a hot ticket for talent. Anyway, CFO and CMO cashed out, and the CEO decided to totally remodel the company by making it far more corporate. On top of all of this, they implemented unattainable goals and removed our work from home policy. The final straw was they removed our rather generous vacation policy and replaced it with unlimited vacation, which was a facade for you can take as much vacation as you want if we approve it. Like 1/4 of the company quit and immediately landed at better jobs. Also profit tanked. Unlimited vacation is such a scam. When a company gives limited vacation time, they have to pay you for days you accrued but didn't take when you leave the company. Unless they give unlimited vacation. In that case, they don't have to give you crap. The only time I was ever denied vacation is when I worked for a company with unlimited vacation time. Frick that. I worked at an unlimited PTO place for a while. At first it was actually really good. As long as you were getting your crap done, nobody really cared. I took a week for my wedding and 2 for my honeymoon within the span of a couple months. Plus another trip later in the year for a long weekend. Plus a few sick days. Every year, it got a little worse. Then the recommendation became 3 weeks a year. Then it started being not a good time to take a day. Then I got in legit trouble for taking 2 days to catch up on doctor and dentist visits and was asked to space them out next time. Now I work for the government, 15 days vacation plus 1 day for each year of service. Caps at 14 years, sorry, and 12 sick days a year. No complaints. Restructure of the way we are paid. What I used to do involved about 40% client interaction, 20% team/coworker interaction, and 40% paperwork and case coordination stuff. Based on what we do, that means only 40% of the time is technically billable, and there are really sticky rules for what is and isn't billable. So, logically, we were being paid on a salary model. Q management saying we can only make money for the time we have that is actually billable. 1/4 of the department quit. 2 of us on the same day. Wait, why is paperwork and case coordination not billable? It's the healthcare field. Only direct client contact can be billed to insurance. Turned out our owner was keeping the social security money taken from our paychecks. And yes, he was caught. You can pull that scam for about 4-5 years. Really insane the lack of communication between the I's and S's. Can confirm, I used to withhold taxes for babysitters for my kids because you're required to if they are over 18. Had a payroll service to do all of the calculations, gave them pay stubs, the whole 9. 4 years after I stopped doing this, I get a letter from SSA stating that they never received one quarterly filing for one of my kids' former babysitters, and would I please forward it along. They gave me a summary of the reported wages. They were close but off by a few bucks in either direction for the years before and after the one they were missing. I dug out the documents and found out that the reason for the confusion was that the payroll company accidentally filed on the previous year's form, pre-printed year on the side. I called SSA where they basically just said, don't worry about that, we just need a number. The IS is terrible about providing the totals to us. so I gave it to them verbally. They wrote it down, and I haven't heard from them since. When I was 16, I worked in the concession stand at a minor league baseball stadium. Minimum wage at the time was $5.15/HR. This job paid $8, and it was always in the evenings, so it was perfect work for a high school student. The only bad thing was our management was terrible. The main manager would throw toddler tantrums about once a shift over stupid bullcrap, like not ordering enough of a specific drink, she did the ordering, or running out of pre-cut lemons for tea. One night the stadium was running a promotion, and it was incredibly busy, easily 2-3x the normal volume of customers. We were all working our asses off handling multiple roles each with absolutely no downtime. Although we all cleaned as we worked, nobody had a chance to do thorough cleaning for the whole shift because of the never-ending horde of hungry baseball fans. The manager showed up 3-4 hours late per usual and throws the biggest tantrum ever over the unswept floor. Finally, she announces, "Listen up you lazy fricks. Minimal work gets minimal pay. Everybody is being paid minimum wage tonight because you slobs won't clean up anything." Both of our bartenders and the bar back quit on the spot, which caused a chain reaction. We all took off our aprons and hats to leave. She blocked the exit and was red in the face from screaming, so one of the cooks climbed out of one of the big serving windows where we served customers, so I did the same and most of the staff followed. Bear in mind that this all happened in front of like 200 plus customers. Of course, my final paycheck got lost, so I had to file a wage theft complaint with the Texas Workforce Commission. How'd that wage theft complaint go down? Sounds like it'd be super satisfying just to slip the envelope into the letterbox. Filed the complaint, submitted my clock in and clock out receipts for the week. We got paid weekly and previous pay stubs to verify my pay rate. After like 3 weeks, I was contacted by the person handling my claim that my previous employer had mailed me a check for the whole amount I was owed plus a penalty. The check arrived within a few days. The penalty was $25 hike. Later that year, the same employer refused to provide my W-2 for tax filing, so I filed a complaint with the IRS and used my pay stubs with a special form to complete my taxes. I don't know what happened regarding that, but that lady's life imploded for non-work related reasons. She got caught cheating on her husband, then got caught faking cancer for sympathy. The owner died, and his idiot son took over and decided that the company didn't make him enough money and started to implement cost-cutting measures like turning off the account in the building. Let me guess, 2 people are working on this? Why not use one person for half the cost? Why not just use half a person at a quarter the cost? Owners retired. They were literally the greatest people, both very sweet, but kept the place running like a well-oiled machine. They took pretty good care of us and their restaurant. When they left, they gave the restaurant over to their nephew, who at the time was a busboy/waiter, kind of standoffish, didn't really interact with us too much, a bit lazy at times, but for the most part did his crap and went home. He seemed okay until he got the power of being the owner. He fired 4 people, including 2 of the 4 cooks and 2 of the 3 dishwashers, literally that same day, on a Friday night just before the dinner rush, all because he didn't like their attitude. He refused to allow people to take vacation that they'd already requested and gotten confirmed by the original owners, would change the schedule randomly without telling anyone, and then scream at people when they missed a shift or came in late because of it. He'd refuse to replenish the kitchen until we were literally already out of things, then take forever to put in the orders. He showed up randomly and would drink at the bar, for free of course, because he was the owner, and then bring in all his buddies to drink with him. Together they'd get way out of hand and grab at women and try to start fights. Within the first month of him being the owner, over half the staff had quit, usually walking out literally in the middle of their shifts. After being screamed at, they'd basically throw down their aprons and tell everyone else that they were so sorry, but they couldn't do it anymore. After the last cook, this big dude who usually kept the kitchen laughing and running at a decent pace, started crying in the middle of his shift and dropped everything he was doing after the boss came and yelled at him for being too slow and making slop. Then walked out. The rest of us just bailed along with him. 4 months later the place was closed. His aunt and uncle were absolutely furious and devastated that he'd run the business they'd built up for over 30 years into the ground. That's really sad, but sounds like a poor decision on the old owners, who put someone in a busboy position to such a high position without training and evaluation. If they knew they were retiring, they should have begun to train him, so he would be ready to take over. And if they would have realized he was ill-suited, then they could have found someone to take over instead. I realized I forgot to add that one of the 4 people he fired initially was the senior manager who was supposed to show him what they hadn't, but being their nephew he did do extra stuff and they showed him what he should have been doing whenever they were there. Officially though, his job was just being the busboy or waiter for a few years before this was decided. But on the whole, yeah, they should not have just up and left to retire without giving him a few months in training wheels to make sure he could actually hack it. None of us thought he'd be like that though. When they reached out to try and find out what had happened, they moved out of state. They were absolutely horrified to hear how he behaved towards the staff, but by that point it was too late to do anything about it. Anytime I've seen a mass exodus, it was because of poor management. I've never seen it organized, just a bunch of employees independently deciding to quit in the same month because the management was so bad. Yeah, that's the case on 9 times out of 10. People don't leave jobs, they leave crappy bosses. It seems to work the other way too. Given the demands and responsibilities placed upon me, if I didn't have such a cool boss, I would have been out of there years ago. I used to work at a McDonald's, and we had a terrible manager who hated a lot of people working there. Everyone else hated him too, but no one wanted to call him out on his crap and quit. I was the first to do it, because I requested 2 weeks off in August of that year, about 3 months in advance. My family likes to plan our summer vacations early on. When August came around, he had my schedule set up for all of August off except for those specific 2 weeks. There was no way that he could have misinterpreted my request. When I got my schedule, I stormed into the restaurant, called him out on everything, and then quit on the spot. About 2 weeks after that, I heard from one of my work friends that 5 other people had enough and quit as well. I kind of felt good to be the first. What makes a good manager at these types of places is recognizing that 95% of their minimum wage employees could go get an equal paying job on their lunch break and start that day. Your store isn't special. The only personnel management you have to do as a GM is to make them want to work there. Do just enough to motivate them to make your store successful, and then spend the rest of your energy making it a place they want to work. Make them happy, and they'll naturally become better employees. The place I currently work at had a manager like this when I first started. That guy treated everyone with respect and was always friendly. If he saw you slacking, he'd just politely come up to you and say, "Hey, let's go find a project to work on," and then he would help you with it. You just wanted to impress this guy and work hard for him. The guy was always at the store for opening, regularly stayed late to help close. He would regularly schedule drink and wing nights, threw us the best Christmas parties, and never made you feel bad for calling in sick. Everyone loved this guy. If the store did well, he got a bonus and would use it to throw the Christmas party and drink nights. Well, he eventually left, and the manager he was replaced with is a fat lazy idiot who refuses to be at the store any longer than he absolutely has to. I once was called into work when I was recovering from an injury because this guy was going home early and there was no one to close. I refused and he still went home early. Needless to say, people have been quitting left and right. And the quality of our store has nosedived because everyone thinks, well, if he doesn't give a frick about helping us, then we don't give a frick about helping him. As a result, people just show up to collect their checks and do the bare minimum. It's sad to see for me because I remember how good we had it when I first started there. Oh boy. I worked at Buffalo Wild Wings for a few years as a line cook. 2 different stores, same pay. It was a type of work where you ask for a raise and they scoff and say, "Yeah, me too." Anyways, I had been pretty dead set on quitting sooner or later. Our kitchen was very small. Most people ended up closing 4-5 days a week with doubles on the weekends, while still attending school full time as it was a college town. On Super Bowl Sunday, a useless coworker who ducked out in the bathroom most the shift finally stops showing, and in response the managerial staff delegated closing to my pal J. Dude was a delight to be around, hands down the best coworker ever. Jay had told them that due to being a full-time student, he no longer wanted to be first and last out, 4 PM 12 AM, 1 AM on the weekends. They basically told him to go frick himself, and that they don't have any more shifts for him. Immediately, me and one other cook walked to the office and quit on the spot. Buffalo Wild Wings lost 4 cooks on Super Bowl Sunday, leaving them with 7 full-time students on the schedule. It was a managerial crap show. I had a similar crapuation at Grease Monkey in high school. They kept scheduling me for 3 close. When I applied, I made it abundantly clear that I got out of school at 3 and would get there at 3:10. About week 2, the manager pulls me into the office and says you have been late every day. When I told him I have school, he said you need to decide what's important. I laughed, as I thought he was kidding. He wasn't. I told him he could let me go if it wasn't going to work, but he begrudgingly let me stay on. He got fired for making anal sex jokes about a customer while she was in earshot. The new manager freaking hated me from day one, since I got special treatment because I'm in school. I asked for a day off to go to Six Flags about 2 weeks previous. The day comes, and he calls me at about 9 and says coworker called in sick. Need you here now. I told him I was on my way to Denver with the group and that I asked for the day off. He huffed and yelled, grow the frick up. Get here, or you can come get your last check. I said I'll be there in an hour, and went to Six Flags. Picked up my last check a couple weeks later, and was accused of stealing a coat. It's always been so strange to me. Managers who don't care to work around someone who's in school. I've had a couple. If it's gotta come down to my education, to keep myself from having to work at a grocery store forever, and the grocery store, where I get paid minimum, they seem to think they'll rank supreme. Yeah, hates to see it.